The millionaire formula nobody talks about. Part 1. Have you ever noticed something strange? Two people graduate from the same college, get similar jobs, earn almost the same salary. Yet 20 years later, one of them is worth millions, while the other is still living paycheck to paycheck. What happened? Was one just lucky? Did they inherit money? Maybe. But more often than not, the real reason is something almost nobody talks about. It's a formula, not a secret investment, not a magic business, not a lottery ticket, a simple formula that quietly builds wealth year after year. And once you understand it, you'll never look at money the same way again. Because becoming a millionaire isn't about making one brilliant decision. It's about making a few smart decisions over and over again. Let's dive in. When most people hear the word millionaire, they imagine someone driving an exotic car, living in a mansion, flying on private jets. But here's something surprising. Most millionaires don't live like that. Many drive reliable cars. They live below their means. They don't wear designer clothes every day. In fact, if you walk past them on the street, you probably never guess they were wealthy. Because real wealth is usually invisible. People chase the appearance of being rich. Millionaires chase the freedom that comes from actually being wealthy. And that's the first piece of the formula. Stop trying to look rich. Start trying to become wealthy. There's a massive difference. Looking rich costs money. Being wealthy makes money. Think about this. If someone earns $200,000 a year but spends $210,000, are they rich? Of course not. Now imagine someone earning $80,000, living comfortably on $50,000 and investing the rest every single year. Who do you think has a better financial future? The answer surprises most people, because income alone doesn't create wealth. The gap between what you earn and what you keep, that's where wealth is born. Every dollar you don't spend becomes an employee. It can go to work for you. It can earn more dollars. And those dollars can earn even more dollars. That's the power most people never experience, because they spend their future before it ever arrives. Here's where the formula starts becoming really interesting. Most people think wealth comes from working harder. But working harder has limits. You only have 24 hours in a day. You can only work so many hours before you burn out. Millionaires understand something different. They focus on ownership. Instead of only selling their time, they own things that grow while they sleep. Stocks, businesses, real estate, digital products, royalties. These assets continue creating value long after the original work is finished. Imagine planting one apple tree. It produces apples every year. Now imagine planting 1,000 trees. Eventually, you're no longer working for every apple. The trees are doing the work. Money works exactly the same way. Every investment, every business, every asset is another tree planted for your future. The goal isn't to work forever. The goal is to own things that continue working even when you're not. Now here's something that completely changed the way I think about money. The average person asks, how much does this cost? A millionaire asks, what will this earn? That's an entirely different mindset. Imagine buying a $1,000 television. Once you bring it home, its value immediately starts falling. Now imagine investing that same $1,000 into learning a valuable skill, starting an online business, or buying an investment that grows over time. One purchase makes you poorer. The other has the potential to make you richer. The question isn't whether something is expensive. The question is whether it's productive. Millionaires don't see money as something to spend. They see it as something to deploy. Every dollar has a mission. Either it's creating future wealth, or it's disappearing forever. Here's another truth that almost nobody teaches. Becoming wealthy isn't about making one massive leap. It's about stacking tiny advantages. Imagine improving your financial decisions by just 1% every week. Reading 10 pages of a finance book every day. Learning one new skill every month. Saving an extra $50 every week. Negotiating a slightly higher salary. None of these actions seem life-changing on their own, but together, year after year, they become unstoppable. People underestimate what they can accomplish in 10 years because they are obsessed with what can happen in 10 days. Millionaires play a different game. They're not looking for quick wins. They're building momentum. And momentum is one of the most powerful forces in wealth creation. At first, progress feels slow. Then suddenly, everything starts accelerating, just like a snowball rolling downhill. It starts small, but eventually it becomes impossible to stop. Now, here's the part almost everyone gets wrong. They believe the formula starts with money. It doesn't. It starts with value. Money simply follows value. Think about the highest paid people in almost any industry. They're solving bigger problems, helping more people, creating products that improve lives, or building systems that save time and money. The marketplace rewards value, not effort alone. You can work incredibly hard digging holes all day, But if your work creates little value, your income will always have a ceiling. The fastest way to earn more isn't necessarily to work harder. It's to become more valuable. Learn skills that are difficult to replace. Improve your communication. Master sales. Understand business. Develop leadership. Learn how to solve expensive problems. Because when your value increases, your income usually follows. And here's where everything begins to connect. The millionaire formula isn't earn more, spend more. Repeat. It's much simpler than that. Create value, earn income, keep more than you spend. Repeat for years. Sounds almost too simple. That's exactly why most people ignore it. They're searching for shortcuts, secret investments, get-rich-quick schemes. But wealth has never been built on shortcuts. It's been built on consistency. The people who quietly follow this formula year after year often wake up one day and realize they've become financially free. Not because of one lucky break, but because thousands of small decisions added up. Now here's the exciting part. Understanding the formula is only the beginning. The real magic happens when you know the 5 multipliers that can dramatically speed up the process. These are the habits and strategies that separate everyday savers from self-made millionaires. And one of them is so powerful that it can literally save you years on your journey to financial freedom. Let's get into that next. The millionaire formula nobody talks about, part 2. Now here's where most people fall behind. They don't fail because they don't know the formula. They fail because they never multiplied. Think about baking a cake. You can have all the right ingredients, but if you leave out the baking powder, it never rises. Wealth works the same way. The formula is important, but these next 5 multipliers are what accelerate everything. And the first one might be the most powerful of all. The first multiplier is time. Everyone wants to know where to invest. Very few people ask when to invest. And that's a costly mistake. Imagine 2 friends. One starts investing at 25, the other waits until 35. The first person doesn't have to invest twice as much. They simply give their money something priceless. Time. Time allows compound growth to do the heavy lifting. It's often called the 8th wonder of the world for a reason. Your money earns returns. Then those returns start earning returns. Then those returns earn even more. At first, it feels painfully slow. You might check your investment account after a year and think, that's it? But then something incredible happens. The curve starts bending upward. Growth begins creating more growth. Eventually, your investments are earning more in a year than you once earned from working. That's why wealthy people never wait for the perfect market. They understand that time in the market is usually more powerful than trying to perfectly time the market. The earlier you begin, the less you often need to invest later. The second multiplier is high income skills. Let's be honest. Budgeting can only take you so far. There's a limit to how much you can cut expenses. But there's almost no limit to how much you can increase your value. The people earning 6 or even 7 figures usually aren't just working harder. They're solving bigger problems. They've developed skills that businesses are willing to pay a premium for. Think about it. Someone who can negotiate million-dollar deals, build software, write persuasive marketing, generate sales, lead teams, or solve complex business problems will almost always earn more than someone performing tasks that can easily be replaced. Your greatest investment isn't the stock market, it's yourself. Every new skill you master becomes an asset that nobody can take away. Markets can crash, companies can fail, but your knowledge stays with you. And the more valuable you become, the more opportunities start finding you. Ask yourself this question. If I lost my job tomorrow, what skill do I have that someone would happily pay me for? If that answer isn't immediately clear, you know exactly where to focus next. The third multiplier is something most people completely ignore, your environment. Have you ever noticed how spending time with ambitious people changes the way you think? You begin setting bigger goals, you stop making excuses, you start believing more is possible. The opposite is also true. Spend enough time around negativity, and eventually, it becomes your normal. If everyone around you believes investing is gambling, you'll probably avoid investing. If everyone believes starting a business is too risky, you'll never even consider it. Your environment quietly shapes your expectations, and your expectations shape your actions. Now, this doesn't mean cutting people out of your life. It means intentionally adding voices that inspire growth. Read books written by successful entrepreneurs. Listen to interviews with investors. Follow people who teach real financial education instead of showing off luxury lifestyles. Feed your mind with ideas that move you forward, because every successful person was influenced by someone who thought bigger than they did. The fourth multiplier is consistency. Here's something social media rarely shows you. Real wealth is boring. There's no dramatic music, no overnight success, no secret hack. Just thousands of smart decisions repeated over and over again. Invest every month. Keep learning. Increase your income. Avoid unnecessary debt. Repeat. Successful people don't rely on motivation, because motivation comes and goes. They rely on systems. Imagine brushing your teeth. You don't wake up every morning and debate whether you feel motivated. You simply do it. Financial habits should become just as automatic. Set investments to happen automatically. Automatically move money into savings. Automatically pay yourself first. The less you depend on willpower, the more consistent you become. And consistency always beats intensity. It's far better to invest a small amount every month for 20 years than invest a huge amount once and never do it again. Small actions, repeated consistently, create extraordinary results. The fifth multiplier is the one almost nobody expects: protecting your downside. Most people spend all their time thinking about making money. Millionaires spend just as much time thinking about not losing it. Imagine climbing a mountain. Getting to the top matters, but staying there matters even more. That's why financially successful people prepare before problems happen. They build emergency funds. They carry appropriate insurance. They avoid reckless investments. They diversify. They don't bet everything on one stock, one cryptocurrency, or one business idea. Because one bad decision shouldn't erase 10 years of progress. Think of wealth like building a castle. Making money builds the walls. Protecting your money builds the moat around it. Without protection, even a beautiful castle can fall. Now take a step back and look at the bigger picture. Time, skills, environment, consistency, protection. None of these sound exciting. None of them promise overnight riches. But together, they're incredibly powerful. They're the hidden multiplier that quietly turn ordinary earners into self-made millionaires. And here's what makes them so effective. Anyone can start using them. You don't need a six-figure salary. You don't need wealthy parents. You don't need perfect timing. You simply need the willingness to make better decisions today than you made yesterday. Because every smart financial choice sends your future in a different direction. And those directions eventually become destinations. But there's one final piece of the millionaire formula that almost no one talks about. It's the mindset that separates people who build wealth from people who spend their entire lives chasing it. Without this final piece, even high-income earners often stay broke. But once you understand it, you'll never think about money the same way again. Let's bring everything together in the final part. The millionaire formula. Nobody talks about part 3. Now let's talk about the final piece, because this is where almost everyone gets stuck.